Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this special one-on-one deep dive program for Shavuot. And we are so excited to have as our special guest speaker for the program, Rabbi Yitzchok Feldheim. He's a renowned international thinker and lecturer. He specializes in Jewish thought and philosophy. He travels to major universities and Jewish communities to present religious ideas to secular audiences. He has spoken for us many times at Project Inspire and on AISH programs, and he is also the rabbi at the Altair in Bay Harbor, Florida. So thank you, Rabbi Feldheim, for joining us.
Okay, and no one heard anything I just said?
No, sorry, but just the first few
Okay.
seconds. Just the first few
Okay, I
seconds.
said it's great to be here. I'm happy to be back. This is the best audience anywhere. And I don't know. I don't think I've been here since Hanukkah, maybe. Does that make sense? I don't know. Okay, so let's get right to it. We have a few minutes before the class to say a few words, and then we'll do it afterwards. I was just thinking to connect a lot of dots for you and connect it to the theme that you're going to be reading about. The theme that you're going to be reading about is the theme of unity and Sukkot and Shavuos. So let me just give you a lot of detail and see if we can connect a lot of dots. First of all, the name of the holiday is Shavuos. Shavuos has two meanings. One meaning of the word Shavua is week. A week is a Shavua. So Shavuos means weeks. And the reason why it's called weeks is because it's the culmination of counting 7 weeks, right? We count 49 days, 7 weeks of 7 days equals 49, and the 50th day is Shavuos. So the counting was 49 days, and that's the meaning of weeks. On the other hand, there's another meaning of the word Shavua, which means oaths, right? To swear in Hebrew is to make a Shavua. And it's interesting to think about if you can think about what is the common denominator of an oath and a week, that both of them have the same word in Hebrew. Like in Hebrew, words mean something; they don't mean two things. So the word Shavua means whatever the common denominator of week and oath is. I'm not. I'll save that for 5 minutes from now as my punchline of the first talk. What the connection is. But before we get there, I'll just give you a little more information, things that we know, but just to put it all together and make a cholent out of it, is that the 49 days of the Omer that we count began after the first day of Pesach, right? But we start counting really by the second Seder. So there's the first day of Pesach, and then we count the 49 days till Shavuot. Now, everyone knows that one of the main laws of Pesach is getting rid of chametz. And I'm sure whoever spoke for you before Pesach or any classes that you went to about Pesach, you heard every negative connotation of leaven, of chametz. It's arrogance, it's self, and sin. And matzah is humble, and it's unity. It's not self. A lot of metaphors. So it's interesting that we spend so much time bad mouthing chametz before Pesach that when you come to Shavuos, it's fascinating to discover that the offering that's brought on the holiday of Shavuos is called the Shtei Halechem, the two loaves of bread. And the one law that the Torah says about these two loaves is chametz teafena. They must be baked chametz. So for all the talk of how evil chametz is on Pesach, 49 days later, when Shavuos comes, chametz is all of a sudden the hero. So what happened to chametz? This rehabilitation of the image of chametz, it needs to be explained. So, okay, I'll limit it to those details and we'll tie it together. So we asked two questions. What is the connection between the word Shavua, oath, and Shavua as week? And why is chametz all of a sudden on Shavuot some kind of hero? How has chametz become holy in a matter of 7 weeks? I will just tell you one little tidbit, just for those who might be a little skeptical about the connection between weeks and oaths. It's very random, but there's a tractate of Talmud, a Masechta called Shavuos, which is all the laws of oaths. And it's ironic. Do you know how many pages there are in the tractate of oaths? 49 pages. So Shavuos in the Talmud has 49 pages, and there it means oaths, not weeks. So it's another dimension to the connection between weeks and oaths. So I'll tell you one deep idea of what the connection between oaths and weeks is that on Pesach the whole holiday is about becoming a nation, and therefore the principle of nationhood is the removal of self, is to work together as a group, and that's why we get rid of chametz, because it's all about humility and teamwork. If you're into the zodiac, there's a lot of Kabbalah on the zodiac. The sign of the month of Nisan is Aries, which is, it's really a sheep, a ram. But the Kabbalah says that the ram represents unity because they travel in the flock and it's passive. And the month of Nisan is the month of unity, of becoming a nation. And that's why it's symbolized by the sheep, because it's sort of like the sacrificing of self for the community. On the other hand, the next month, the month we're in now, is the month of Iyar, which is Taurus. It's an ox in the zodiac, in the month of in the symbols of the months, and the ox is a lone animal. It's an animal that plows on its own in the field. It's not part of a flock. The job of the month of Nisan that Pesach is in is unity. The job of the month of Iyar is the counting of the Omer, is individuality, is to focus on every little individual thing, not the group, but to flesh out your own skills and your own traits. It's a dangerous thing to work on individuality, because that's why we know Rabbi Akiva's students all died during this period for the sin of not respecting each other. It's the occupational hazard of individuality is sort of losing sight of the group and having a maybe not enough sensitivity to everyone else's traits. On Pesach, when we work on nationality, that's not a problem. But once you start to work on individuality, there are things you have to watch out for, and that's the month, and that's not respecting others, not understanding differences in people, and just being wrapped up in your own worldview. The svarim that deal with the zodiac and the Kabbalistic ideas of it point out that the third month, Nisan is the sheep, Iyar is the ox, unity and individuality. Shavuos falls in the beginning of the month of Sivan, which is Gemini, and Gemini is twins. And the idea is the twins represent the ability to synthesize unity and individuality. Is that we're supposed to figure out how to have both traits together. We're not sheep or oxen, but some kind of synthesized, we call it tiferes, which is the Hebrew word for beauty. The idea of beauty in Judaism represents the ability to synthesize unity and individuality. And that's the goal of Shavuos. So we start off with unity, we work our way through individuality, we're supposed to meet in the end with some kind of synthesized idea. This is the idea. Right. Oh, very nice. The two luchos are twins. One, right, very nice. One is the luchos between man and his fellow man, and one are your own personal relationships to God. So the ability to combine both luchos, the relationship of man and God and man, self, community, this is what we're doing over here. Which brings me back to the connection between weeks and oaths. So what a week is, I'll do an oath first. It's a little easier to see it in an oath. Hashem gives us 613 mitzvahs, but there's a mitzvah that you have to keep your oath. So when somebody swears and makes a commitment, what he's done is now, when you break your commitment, you break your vow, so now you've broken a law in the Torah. Meaning the Torah says I can't eat meat and milk, but it doesn't say I can't eat cotton candy. But if I make an oath that I'm going to eat cotton candy or not eat cotton candy or something like that, so now that becomes a mitzvah. Because if I break that, I swore and I lie, so now I've broken a Torah law. What the Svarim say is oath is the ability to create personal Torah. God gives us the first 613 laws. But then by my speech, by my word, by making commitments and promises and oaths, I'm creating my own obligations, personal responsibilities. So the Torah is what's given to us by God, and oaths, what an oath represents is personal obligations, personally created obligations, which is the uniqueness of what oaths are, is it's me. And that's what a week is also. There are many different ways of measuring time, and they're all based on the year. The year is based on a solar cycle, how long it takes for the Earth to go around the sun. A day is a rotation of the Earth on its axis, facing the moon, your sunrise, sunset. All of the different measurements of time are based on different celestial cycles. But there is no cycle for a week. The week, if you think about it, right, takes 30 days for the Earth to go for a month. A day is a rotation, is one day. A year is a rotation of the Earth around the sun. So what's a week? A week is a human-created measurement of time. It is our own imprint, our own choice. You could divide a month into, we could have made 10 weeks of 3 days each. We could have made 3 weeks of 10 days each. We could have divided it many different ways. The division of 7-day weeks, there is no reference to that in the cosmos, in any of the planets and stars of the moon, is a total human creation. And God has given us 2 ways to measure time, his way and our way. And he's given us different mitzvos, his mitzvos and our mitzvos. So Shavuos are our mitzvos. The weeks are our measurements of time. So what Shavuos really is, it's Pesach started off with unity. And then the Omer begins to work on individuality. God wants us to know that people often assume that religion is the negation of self. And what the Torah is telling us over here is exactly the opposite, is that the goal is to affirm yourself. Hashem has created a means for us to expand the Torah and to create oaths. He's giving us the ability even to measure time by our own choices, our own way of measuring time. So Shavuos really is the celebration of self, my own imprint on the universe. And that's why the offering on Sukkot is specifically chametz. On Sukkot, chametz has become holy. And unity is nice. Unity is safe. It's much more dangerous to work on individuality. But the idea that you can, if you refine your individuality and somehow not ruin the community and synthesize with the community, that's the greatest achievement. If you can somehow get to the point where you can embrace chametz and have that larger self, but not impinge on the group or on other people, then you've personified the twins of Shavuos. And that's the idea. We'll come back after the class with a little more insight into this on unity and this theme. But go ahead and go to your rooms and enjoy yourselves. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Feldheim. So we're all going to break out now for about a half an hour, and then we will call you back. And Rabbi Feldheim will close out the program for us. Thank you so much.
Great. Enjoy. Take care, everybody.
Daniela, I have an unexpected guest. I have to leave. I'm sorry.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. I hope that everyone enjoyed the source-based Zoom room learning, and I'm going to give it back over to Rabbi Feldheim.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Everyone hears me? I'm good? I'll assume yes. Okay, so you just did, for the last half an hour, a whole presentation about the theme of unity and Shavuos, that the Torah is really just a guidebook to unity. To sum up everything you did in short, he used the metaphor of a puzzle. I think a puzzle is an amazing metaphor. There are 3 stages in a puzzle. There's the cover of the puzzle box, and that's the original picture. And then there's the pieces in the box, which is the picture once it's been cut up. And then there's the finished puzzle, stage 3, when you reassemble all the pieces. And that's That's really the pattern in most things in Judaism. We say Shema. That's how he started. He started the exercise with the Shema. The Shema is that God is oneness itself. And then that's the cover. Hashem is the cover of the puzzle box. And then the universe are all the fragmented pieces. Basically, the unity of God is hidden, and we don't see how everything's one. And that's life. That's everything that we see every day. All the problems of the world: sickness and poverty and hatred and division and jealousy, and there's physical division, emotional, non-oneness, intellectual non-oneness, lies, ignorance, and the third stage is where we sort of put everything back together again, and we fix all the problems, we make everything work. And that's the goal of the Torah, is sort of the guidebook to assembling, to puzzle making. And we're the puzzle makers. And that's what we celebrate on Shavuot, is the giving of the book, which allows us a guide to how to assemble all the pieces of the puzzle. That's basically what you read about. I want to tie that now into what I spoke about in the beginning, of the journey from matzah to chametz. Matzah is unity. So this entire theme was about unity, but somehow Shavuos, at the same time it's about unity, is also about individuality. So how does that fit with the oneness if it's all about self? So it's a very, very deep idea. The progress of, you see, I don't think that, to say it in a nugget, it would be that matzah and chametz aren't really opposites. It's a process. If we were to ask ourselves, maybe the biggest question is, I understand that I was created with abilities and a role and a niche in the universe, a unique role that only I could perform. And let's say we accept that. Why is it that it's so difficult to do that? Why is it that so few people really become everything that they were meant to be? And it's not meant for 10 minutes to treat that exhaustively, but the short gist of it is in Jewish thought, the reason why we believe that most people don't become who they were meant to be is because, well, I'll add one step. We don't become who we're meant to be because we run away from it. And just like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, they went to hide in the bushes. And the idea is that most of us end up, to some degree, hiding in the bushes. And the question is what makes us hide in the bushes? Why aren't we embracing all of the parts of life that were given to us? Why am I not becoming who I was meant to be? And so the shortest answer is the reason why we often don't embrace our lives, and we don't try and become who we were meant to be, is because we think that we're supposed to be everything. We look around and we see people with all these different gifts. And this guy has a ski chalet, and this guy has a condo on the beach. And this one lives in Manhattan, and this one's got an estate in the country. And those are all beautiful blessings. But those are blessings that are meant for 40 people. I have a beautiful blessing too, but I'm not supposed to be everything. What happens is that we look out at the world. If we think of ourselves, let's think of the world as a symphony, and every one of us is an instrument. But then we look around at the stage and we see everyone playing all these instruments, and I think I'm supposed to be everything. And when I think I'm supposed to be everything, so that's impossible. I can never be everything. It's the idea that I think I have to be everything that causes me to give up. Because if I think I'm supposed to be everything and I realize I'll never be everything, then why should I bother trying? I'll never succeed at what I think I should be. The thing that robs us of the confidence to attack life is the idea that we're supposed to be everything. It's interesting that what robs us of self-esteem and of confidence is the idea that I think I'm supposed to be more than I am. If I think that I'm supposed to be everything, then my chance of success is zero. It's impossible to be everything. So it'll become more clear when we figure out what the answer is. So what is the answer? If the reason that I don't have the confidence to jump into life the way I would love to is because I don't think I'll succeed, because I think I'm supposed to be everything. So what's the answer that you would tell somebody? What we tell them is that, you know what the secret of self-esteem is? The secret of self-esteem is realizing that you're not everything. And that's what humility means. Humility doesn't mean I'm nothing. Humility means I'm not everything. I'm an instrument. I could be the most beautiful instrument, but I'm not every instrument. The second that we accept that we're only one instrument, the second that I accept I'm not everything, you know what the child of humility is? We think humility and self-esteem are opposites. Confidence is the opposite. Self is the opposite of humility. It's exactly, there's nothing further from the truth. Confidence is the child of humility. If the reason I'm not confident is I think I have to be everything, so the second I realize I'm not everything, I'm something, so all of a sudden now I realize that I can do, and I can throw myself into life. The reason why we focus on Pesach, on humility, and on matzah is because the second that you realize you don't need to be everything, the result of that is not meekness. People think humility is a goal. Humility is not a goal to think you're small. We're not trying to knock anyone down when we tell someone to be humble. Maybe that's one take on humility. But the Torah's view on humility is matzah. And the reason why we talk about being humble is not to lower yourselves, but is to create a view of life is that there is something called everything. There certainly is. But everything is shared by everyone. It's a very good metaphor is to look at our screen here. Everybody has a computer screen or a phone screen, and it's divided into how many squares? Every one of us has one square on the screen. Together, all those squares make the entire screen. The second that I accept that I'm only one square in the screen of life, then the result of that is confidence. Because that we can do. I can be me. I can't be everyone. So the second I realize that I'm not everyone, I'm just me, humility creates confidence. Self-esteem is the child of humility. And therefore, matzah and chametz aren't opposites. The second that we embrace ourselves and throw ourselves into the world of matzah, and we stop thinking of ourselves as everything. The idea of Pesach was that we're a nation. Look at the screen and see all the little boxes of all the many people. And when the second that you sit back and you realize that life, the screen is made out of hundreds, thousands, millions of people, then what you discover is that you have a niche. And your niche, you can become the expert at your niche. So the purpose of matzah is to create chametz. And this is why the second that we eat the matzah by the Seder, we immediately start counting up to the chametz. One should never think that the goal of life is to be small. The only reason we talk about anything like humility is only to create a belief in ourselves and a fire. Contemplating the idea that the job of life is divided into many, many slices creates a grasp, allows us to grasp that I'm a specialist. And the second that you realize that you're just a specialist, you're not everything, that we can nail that. That we have. And that's the celebration of Shavuot. Shavuot is the confidence, the chametz that comes from the matzah. It's impossible to get to that confidence unless you first begin with humility. I'm saying it a lot of different ways because it sounds so simple, but it's very, very rich. It's very novel. It's a novel idea that humility and self are not opposites. Self is the child of humility. If you don't first discover that the screen is made out of hundreds of faces, then you will never be able to have confidence. Because it's impossible to really believe that you can do every job. Maybe someone could temporarily have such delusional ideas, and you can think that I can do anything. But those ideas are not real, and they don't last. And invariably, people who think they have to be everything end up doing nothing, and they don't leave their room. They stay in bed, and they do whatever it does to pass the time. The reason why people run into the bushes of the garden is because we think we were supposed to be everything. They didn't begin with matzah. So we had a beautiful Seder 40 days ago, and we talked about the nation, which is, we had a Seder, we invited people to our Seder. The whole Pesach is really about marinating in the idea that life is a screen made out of hundreds of faces. And if you assimilate that in time, you still have 9 more days to assimilate that. If you assimilate that idea that the universe is made out of many, many niche roles, then the only thing you could walk away from that is that, wow, that I can do. I'm not everything, I'm something. I can definitely be something. And we'll throw ourselves into life. And that's the top of the mountain, that's Shavuot. And that is what the month of Sivan is. It's the twins. It's the understanding. In one sentence, the entire existence of this holiday is the understanding that humility and pride are not opposites. Pride is the child of humility. If you eat your matzah properly, then you can eat your chametz on Shavuot, and you can bring the world to where it needs to be. Okay, everybody, it's been amazing. I wish you all a beautiful Shavuot, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Rabbi
Thank you
Feldheim.
so
Thank you so much,
much.
everyone, for joining
Thank
us.
you.